Cheers.
Taste that fluoride. Yeah, so guys, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about fluoride in our drinking water, as well as the impending water wars that are most definitely going to happen. And have actually already started to happen. But anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today on Black Lotus. Conspiracy theories, the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, and all things strange and unusual. This is Black Lotus. So, there's a thing out there, there's a conglomeration of companies out there, and they're headed up by Crest, Kellogg's, and Nestle. But it's a bunch of other companies too, but they're known as the Fluoride Mafia. Do you know that?
The Fluoride Mafia.
Fluoride Mafia, yeah. So here's the deal. If you don't know what's going on, about 4 out of 5 Americans are forced to drink fluoride in their water because it's put into our municipal water supplies. And it's not good for you. It's actually really bad for you. And anyway, so yeah. I think the first thing we should start talking about is the different kinds of fluorides and what they can do to you, you know?
Yeah. Well, let me make one thing real quick, though, or clear, though, real quick. It doesn't matter what kind of fluoride it is; they're all bad for you in ways.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Some of them are worse than other ones, agreed. But some of them they're all still bad.
So, like the fluoride that's in water is called. I'm gonna mess this name up. It's fluorosilicic acid, and basically what that is, it's a byproduct of fertilizer manufacturers. So, yeah, you know, and they're putting that in the water. Now, this started...
So they're putting shit in our water.
Yeah, you'd say, you know, yeah, maybe. But the idea of putting fluoride in our water started back right after, like, World War II, I heard. And the reason for that is they found that people who use fluoride like in their drinking water produce less cavities.
By a good amount, actually.
By a good amount. And that's true. That is true. Fluoride does help with cavities. But it's not necessarily a good thing because it's also known as hydrofluoric silicic fluoride. And it's linked to cancer. And it's linked to bone disease. And this is not some crackpot conspiracy theory. This is according to the American Cancer Society and the CDC.
Right.
So it blows my mind that they're continuing to do this.
Well, what they're saying is that's in large amounts. And to be perfectly honest, there are things that in small amounts are good for you, but in larger amounts are harmful to you. But you have to weigh the difference here, because it's not only causing cancer, it's causing a lot of reproductive problems. It's causing thyroid problems. It's
bottled water, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
No fluoride in it. It causes all kinds of problems. Now, again, there are different kinds of fluoride. So that's the fluoride that's in water. Then there's the fluoride you find in toothpaste and mouthwash. Now, there's a couple of things about that, and that's sodium fluoride. There's a couple of things about that, and that is that it is directly linked to heart disease, kidney failure, bone disease, problems with your central nervous system, and check this, teeth.
Yep.
Teeth. Sodium fluoride is bad for teeth, and that is the main ingredient in toothpaste and mouthwash. So how is it that, okay, you're going to get less cavities, but then you're going to have problems with your teeth?
Right. Exactly.
I don't get it. But the thing that blew my mind is something Ralph pointed out to me, and that was that there's a warning on all toothpaste that carries fluoride.
Yeah. I brought this with me too because I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but it's this little tiny printing at the bottom here. And basically what it says is, if more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away.
Unbelievable.
Why are we using something that is poisonous to brush our teeth? It's so poisonous that if a child that's 10 pounds eats half a tube of this, they will die.
Yeah. The thing that blows my mind here is that, okay, I smoke. And on every pack of cigarettes, there's a great big warning label on the side of the pack of cigarettes that says that, they cause cancer, heart disease, blah, 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 blah. Big warning is about it. You'd think that how toddlers are. They're crawling around, they're getting into everything, and it's hard to stop them. You can baby-proof your house, but only to an extent. But I think that most people don't understand that this stuff really is poisonous and it can kill your child. And it seems to me that it's weird that they would have such a small little label on there. And I even looked on my toothpaste. It's just a little bitty print,
Right.
Why wouldn't they make something like that more prevalent?
Well,
I don't understand.
The Department of Health and Human Services sets the optimum level of fluoride for preventing tooth decay at 0.7, okay? And that was reduced from 1.2 that it was in 2015 when they started this in 1962.
Okay.
And I looked on my toothpaste here, and this, and I'm forgetting where it was now, is 0.15.
Okay.
So
wow. Yeah. And then there's another type of fluoride out there, and that is, simply put, Prozac. And from what I read, there's a big conspiracy there. Not a conspiracy, but there's a big blowback against the idea that it carries fluoride. And they're saying that it only carries a certain percentage of fluoride.
But it is fluoride.
But that's not the case. That's like saying there's only a certain percentage of water in water. Water is water, right? So, but this stuff is called fluoxetine. And basically, so what it is Prozac is fluoride. And I thought this was interesting. If you go to Google, and you know how Google will finish your sentences, and you write in, Prozac makes me feel, the top 4 are tired, numb, not care, or sick. But
it totally numbs you.
Right. Isn't that enough to show that what they're doing with fluoride is essentially turning us into zombies?
I've taken Prozac, and yes, it makes you not care. It makes you very mellow.
Well, I think most antidepressants do that. But,
But it's fluoride. It's pure fluoride. So what do you...
Right. It's just the fact that fluoride makes you feel that way. And so it amazes me that we put this stuff in our water. We put it in our toothpaste, our mouthwash. Almost everything, from what I understand, is actually made, anything that's made with water. Your furniture is actually made with water. And so if they're using water from the municipal supply, then it has fluoride mixed into it. And so they're saying that even the vapors of fluoride are bad for you. And so if that's the case, even if you're just sitting down and you're careful not to drink fluoride or take fluoride at all, you still may be getting it into your system at a very, very, very low dose, obviously, but it's still there.
Well, that's just it. We're getting it at a low dose, but we're getting it at a low dose from here. We're getting it at a low dose from here. You're getting
right.
And it also, fluoride is naturally in a lot of things. There already is fluoride. We're just adding more.
I read this study that has said that children in high fluoridated areas carry a lower IQ than children in lower fluoridated areas, and so much so that it's like significant. It's like at least, or rather, I'm sorry, it averages around 7 points lower. 7 points, man.
That's a big difference. Well, as of 2016, we were talking about in non-fluoridated, and as of 2016, 372 million people, that's around 5.7% of the world's population, received artificially flavored fluorinated water. Okay, that's from 24 different countries. So that's most of the, a good amount of the world. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, we're producing a lower level of IQ people. Why?
Well, and that's just it. I think that's the idea. First of all, I think it's a population control thing, because apparently it causes sterility as well. Correct. So I think that there's regulations to how much fluoride they can put in the water, but who regulates the regulators? Really. So if they want population control, all they have to do is up the regulation.
Right.
I mean, that's really all it comes down to. Hey, before we go on here, I want to make a quick announcement here. Well, first of all, I should say this: if you notice that we're sweating profusely, forgive us. Our studio, we're on Las Vegas, and where the current temperature is about 180,000 degrees, and our air conditioner has gone out, so we're kind of sweating today. But the other thing I want to mention is that we are having Anne-Marie Balog, who is a paranormal medium. She's going to be live with us on YouTube event on Sunday, September 9th.
That's this Sunday.
That's this coming Sunday. And the interesting thing about her, well, she's a very interesting person. We've had her on before. She's great. But one of the interesting things about her is that, how most people read palms, she doesn't do that. She reads toes. And I thought that was really interesting because I've never heard of anybody that reads toes. But what we want to do on the live program is to have her read your toes. So what we need you to do is send in pictures of your toes. Now, these pictures, it's like taking a selfie. Just take it. If your feet need to be flat on the floor, and you need to be completely barefoot. And she also requested that if you have toe rings, don't wear toe rings, but that's not that big of a deal as long as they're your bare feet and they're flat on the floor. What she needs are pictures of your toes more than just your foot. And she said it could be right foot or your left foot or both feet. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, she's going to do these live toe readings on the show with us on September 9th, this coming Sunday. So definitely send in your pictures of your toes, and you can do that via our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page. It's Black Lotus Media Productions. And you can just send us a message through that. Or rather, you could just email it to us at our email address, and that's blacklotuspodcast@gmail.com. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that real quick before we get too much further into this. But anyway, so go on with this. Something about Nazi Germany, I heard.
Well, yeah, in Nazi Germany, Hitler used fluoride. He basically, when they started to try to take over, he went to the ghettos where the Jews stayed and fluoridated their water. Again, Prozac, fluoride calms people down. They were trying to control and keep everybody level.
Yeah, easier to control. I mean, I think one of the government's biggest fear is that we will uprise. I think they're really afraid. I don't think they're afraid of us fighting each other.
No,
but
revolution.
But I think they're afraid of revolution. Yeah, absolutely. And so, what better way to quell the masses than by
drugging them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I also thought it was very interesting. As most people know, there are certain countries that are known for being the happiest countries in the world. Well, there are a couple countries that have banned water that is fluorinated, and that is Sweden, Netherlands, Finland, and Denmark. Surprisingly, some of the happiest places in the world. Yeah. So I guess the fluoride is not keeping us that calm, is it?
Yeah, and I think it dumbs us down. I mean, obviously, like I said, those children in high fluoridated areas were saying, they said that it decreases their IQ level, and I think that is possible for everybody that's living in a high fluoridated area. I think it makes you stupid so that you make stupid decisions where it comes to electing your officials. Maybe that I'm not going to get into the Trump thing, but I mean, really, I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way: in 2014, fluoride was documented in the World Health encyclopedias as it could be hazardous to a child's development of 10 years or younger. Right there, it tells you.
Right.
I
don't think that, they say that there are safe levels. I don't think there are any safe levels for this thing.
If we need it, I guess, because there are supplements out there. There's tablets, and there's actually even a topical that you can spread on you to put fluoride into your body.
Okay.
But I've never heard of anybody having a fluoride deficiency.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe if you are so accustomed to it, you need it. At that point, and so does that mean that they're making us addicted to this stuff? I don't know.
I don't think it's something that we need this much. You know, when you go to the dentist, even they put fluoride on your teeth. They put that varnish on, which is basically a layer of fluoride to help your thing. And supposedly that makes your bones brittle.
Yeah, it makes your bones brittle. However, I mean, I can kind of understand that because fluoride has shown some benefits for preventing cavities and that kind of. So when you go to the dentist for your annual checkup or whatever, I can see that maybe they would put some fluoride in. I don't think that low dosage is really going to do much to you, you know. But I mean, to have this fluoride intake all the time is just it's stupid, in my opinion.
That's a good way to put it. Stupid.
It's just stupid. Yeah.
Well, I was curious about what water we drink. And so there's actually a study out there, and it was just released in 2016, and they took water samples from all over the country. And you can actually go in and put in your zip code.
Okay.
And it will tell you what the findings of this big study came out with of the water in your state and your area.
Okay.
So I went and looked up our tap water. If you want to do this, it's at the EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group. And you go to the tap water database, and they'll tell you there. You just put in your zip code, like I said. Okay, and they tested over 50,000 water utilities in all 50 states, and they found nearly 270 contaminants in drinking waters across the country. 8 of these contaminants included arsenic and lead. Were reported in all 50 states.
Yep.
Okay, arsenic is in our water. Isn't that nice? Sure, it's only a little tiny bit, but you know, you're supposed to drink a lot of water. Trust me, I drink a lot of water. So how much arsenic am I getting in me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I looked at ours, and ours included things like chloroform, chromium, radiological contaminant, hormones, aluminum, bromide, and arsenic. So that's what we're drinking in if we were drinking our tap water.
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing about that is people always give me crap about drinking bottled water. And I try not to drink, you know, the actual like Nestle bottled water. I try not to do that. I mean, if that's the only thing available, that's what I'm going to drink, and I'm going to drink that over the tap water.
Oh, definitely.
Because the water here, first of all, it tastes bad. You know,
it even has a little bit of a smell.
Yeah, and you can pour your tap water, and you could. You know where it was worse? Where I was living in Tampa, Florida. And in fact, I went to that website you're talking about back when I lived there, and it has one of the worst water standards in America. And literally, you could pour a glass of tap water, and you could pick it up, put it up to light, and see things. I swear to God, they were swimming around in there.
No, I couldn't drink that.
Oh, it was awful.
Well, what I find surprising is with all this still found in our waters, even at minute traces. From 2014 to 2017, Vegas has had no health violations in their water. So everything's been in levels that are allowed.
Well, again, who regulates the regulators?
Exactly. Levels that are allowed. So should there be any level in there?
Yeah.
Of something that's contaminated in our water? I don't think so. I watched an interesting video on YouTube, and this guy was actually decontaminating his water. And he took and filled up, I would say it was probably about a gallon's worth of water into this machine. And he said it took 5 hours for it to clean it. And what it did is it made steam, and the steam rose and went through a filter and then went into a container that was clean, a little plastic container. When it finished, he opened up the container and showed the inside of the container. And it was like someone had smudged a little bit of tar at the bottom of the thing. It was absolutely disgusting.
Wow.
I'm telling you, after doing some of this research, I don't like the tap water here, anywhere now.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah. And to think that we use water for so much, everything from, our drinking water to we use that same water to wash our clothes, and everything.
So, ourselves.
And water our lawns. And that kind of thing.
Well, according to, if you go on YouTube, there's all kinds of pages about detoxing with this, and they're telling you to stop drinking your tap water, stop using toothpaste that has fluoride in it, get a filter for your shower, so it'll cut the fluoride out of your shower before it actually hits you, because you'll absorb it. They said don't eat meat, because obviously cows are drinking the water that we're drinking, so they're drinking tap water, if not worse. And don't let the fluoride, dentists use any fluoride. on you and detox.
Well, and you know, the interesting thing about that, speaking of the dentist, is that most dentists will say, "Oh, it's not going to hurt you." You know, I mean, but it makes me wonder about that. Maybe this is a big conspiracy to keep the dental industry going. You know.
Well, they tell you like X-rays won't hurt you, but if you take enough X-rays, they will hurt you.
Yeah, right. Well, see, that's just it. You're not going through X-rays, you know, all day long. You are drinking water all day long, or using water all day long.
Well, they tell you should drink about 60 ounces of water a day, I believe it is.
Something like that.
Yeah, I drink over 80 ounces of water a day. And that's a lot of water, especially if it's got bad stuff in it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't drink tap water.
That's why you're bald today, man.
Yeah, I know. And now, we're not the only ones having problems, because even I just saw that when I was looking into this, the Department of Defense had 126 cases on their bases being reported with contaminated water.
Really?
So even if they're finding it there, you know, that's not a good thing for our soldiers to be drinking this contaminated water. We want them in good shape.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be, anybody shouldn't be, like, you know, Flint, Michigan. So nobody should be drinking any of this bad water. It should be, water should not be a privilege. It should be a right. It's a survival. You have to eat and you have to drink more than anything.
Speaking of that, let's go on here. And let's get into the idea, or the very plausible idea, that the next big wars are going to be over water. You know, I think the first thing I want to talk about is the CEO of Nestle. Now, a lot of people actually misquote him. They say that what he said was that water is not a human right. Well, he did say that, but he didn't say that.
It was taken out of context.
Yeah, it was taken out of context. Let me read to you exactly what he said. This is his actual quote. The one opinion, which I think is extreme, is represented by the NGOs, who bang on and on about declaring water a public right. That means that as a human being, you should have the right to water. That's an extreme solution, is what he said. That's an extreme solution. The other view says that water is a foodstuff, and like any other foodstuff, it should have a market value. So, did he say water is not a human right? Yeah, in so many words, you know. But yeah. So, but he says this, and meanwhile, in Beijing, the capital of China, is sinking 4 inches a year. Okay, and the reason for that is because they're pumping out the groundwater from underneath them, and so it's sinking 4 inches a year. But here's the thing: they're not alone. Shanghai, Mexico City, and other major cities are sinking too, and then sections of the California Central Valley are sinking too, and there are areas there that have dropped like a foot so far, and it said that in some localized areas it's dropped as much as 28 feet. Wow, dude, really? You know, I mean, so
we're drinking more water than nature can replenish.
Well, not just drinking, but just using it in general, consuming. You had mentioned not eating meat. Now, we both eat meat. We're not vegetarians, and so we shouldn't be espousing this. But I understand the idea here, and that is that it takes so much water to raise cattle, and it takes so much water to raise agriculture. And the thing is, one of the reasons this is happening is that, you know, I've heard the idea, that the argument rather, that there is as much water on Earth now as there was back in the day of the dinosaurs. Well, that's simply not true. And one of the reasons it's not true is because of our overpopulation. Right. With overpopulation comes a higher demand of other stuff, like food, you know, and, you know, so.
Well, just in March, a report was released about the world's population of water being affected, that there are going to be, by the year 2030, 700 million people who are at risk of being displaced for water use.
Oh, absolutely. I don't doubt that a bit.
Okay. I mean, 2030, that's not that far away. That's what, 12 years, 11 years.
Think about it was back in 2009 in Yemen, there were the water riots. And the reason these water riots are happening is not just because people don't have enough water to drink, but it's affecting their entire economy.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're saying that a destabilized economy due to water shortage is what spawned all this crap that happened in Syria. And then now Jordan, who is already water stressed, is even more water stressed now because those Syrians have now migrated, and the refugees have relocated into Jordan, and so now it's even worse than it was before. You know, I mean, and again, it affects the entire economy. You have the entire economy affected. You're going to get wars. You're going to get rioting. You're going to get people fighting against each other. And you know, they're even saying that here in America, they're saying that states are proposing bills to do anything they can to protect their water sources. Like here in Nevada, we supply water over to California because water is just, you know, they're always in a drought there. I heard recently they've come out of their drought, but it's not going to last long.
Exactly.
It never does. You know, and so what we do is we have a deal with them where we supply water to them, and now they're saying no more. We're not going to do this anymore. Water is in too short a supply. We're in a dry, arid area here, and the water is not being replaced.
The problem is, he's right. It's not being replaced because of the droughts everywhere, and people are saying, you know, well, yeah, but we're not going to. It's not like we're going to run out of water. Well, I hate to tell you this. There's a little town in Cape Town, and it's probably the worst off right now. It's in South Africa, and right now they are having drills on that in that town about day zero. Because they are just about out of water, and they are expected for day zero to happen in 2019.
Okay, really?
They will have zero water.
So what's going to happen then? It's going to be like the Syrians moving into, or the refugees moving into Jordan. So these people at this little town are going to be forced into larger cities, where these larger cities are, again, water
either that or
stressed,
they have to somehow have water brought into them.
Yeah.
Because they will have no water in this area in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's scary. I mean, it's you know, you think, oh, a lot of times it's not going to affect you. If it's already affecting people in 2019 to where somebody in the world has zero water in their town, to me, that's already affecting me. That's scary.
I can't see how anybody with even a modicum of intelligence can say that we're never going to run out of water. I mean, I think these people are looking at the oceans and the lakes and the seas. I mean, the lakes alone. Look at Lake Mead. Look at how much that's drying up. I remember coming out here when I was a kid, and that place, I mean, the lake would go all the way up the cliffs.
Right.
Now, I mean, you're seeing what used to be just a tiny island. Now they're mountains in the middle of the lake. You know,
Look at the Los Angeles River.
Yeah. But, you know, hell, you know what? Look at Mars. They speculate that Mars had a hell of a lot of water on it at one time. Don't tell me that a planet can't run out of water, because it can. You know, and we're not too far away from it.
Not only are we running out, we're poisoning all our waters too.
You know, and we can look at the oceans, and we can say, well, look at all that water out there. How are we going to run out of water? Well, what we're talking about is we're talking about consumable water. You know, we're talking about water that can
fresh water.
Right. We're talking about fresh water that is drinkable water, and water that you can use on your lawns. You can't use salt water on your lawns. You can, you know, I mean, it's, you know, now there's ways to desalinize it. But
one,
again,
it's expensive.
It's very
You're not
expensive.
going to be using that to water your lawns with, because you're going to need
Right.
it to drink.
Right.
And two, okay, so what are we going to do when we start running out of ocean water? Because don't tell me that's not going to happen. If we run out of the point where we have no fresh water and we have to start cleaning the water in the ocean, we're going to deplenish a lot of that pretty quick and start killing off more animals and fish in the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're even able to drink the water at that point, because don't forget, what is it, Fukushima is still leaking and still is now contaminated like 2/3 of the world's oceans, something like that.
I just read a report the other day that the radiation from Fukushima is affecting a large part of the fishing industry in the Pacific Ocean.
So our prices of fish are going to start going up now too.
Well, prices of all food is going to spike. You know, the less water you have. You know, in fact, Ralph and I were just talking about this the other day. I was talking about how expensive ground beef is. And I look, when did we start running out of cows? I said. But then I kind of stepped back and I went, you know what it is? It's the water that it takes to raise them. And I mean, the more water prices spike, the more the prices on beef are going to spike. It's got to be that. I can't think of any other explanation. Feed hasn't gone up. Well, feed would have to go up too.
Well, right, because it's going to take more to grow it and more money to pay.
And it all comes down to water. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and I don't mean to sit here and get onto an environmental kick about climate change and all that stuff, and I really don't want to do that. But there's no denying that that's really the cause of all of this.
It doesn't matter if it's the cause or not. It's fact that it's happening.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting less rainfall. We're getting less snowfall. That results in less water to be replenished in the groundwater. And then you have companies like Nestle that are saying they're laying claim, like in California, they're laying claim to this groundwater there. And it's, and California is doing relatively nothing about it. It blows my mind. They're a very, very liberal state. And so it kind of blows my mind that they're not taxing them harder, maybe, or something, but...
I don't understand how they claim right to. I didn't research into that. But what I do want to bring up, because I think it's important, is, you're talking about usage of water, and how about rainwater? Mm-hmm. And it blows my mind that there are now laws against gathering rainwater to use. Mm-hmm. Now, not only is I looked this up too. There's actually, you can look up your different states and see what your state laws are and stuff. Mm. But there's states like Texas and Ohio where you're allowed to actually get up to 2 barrels of rainwater and have 2 barrels out there to gather. But you are only allowed to use it to water your plants outdoors or indoors, or to water your garden.
So you can't drink or shower with it.
You cannot allow to drink or shower with it. If you do, you can be fined. What does it matter what way you're using it, I guess, because if you're using it that way, you're using it up quicker. Now, what they're saying the reason is because if we all started using it for that, and our 2 barrels that we kept using up to shower with and drink, then we would keep gathering more water quickly, and it would stop our underground rivers and stuff from getting replenished.
I find that a little hard to grasp. I really do.
No, it's because you're not going to drink the fluoride.
I remember this happening. There was a law that was enacted when I was living in Florida about this, and they were saying that they didn't want you collecting water at all, and they were saying that it's for that reason. It's going to deplete the groundwater and all that. The way I look at it is like, even if let's say everybody in the Tampa area did this, which is not going to happen because you think about the people who live in apartments as opposed to houses, and so it's just not going to happen. But even let's say only the homeowners had maybe 2 barrels outside, each. 50-gallon barrels.
They're allowed up to 100 gallons.
But first of all, how long? I mean, it rains like a mother in Florida. But even then, how long is it going to take to fill up one of those barrels? And then secondly, the water is still hitting the ground. So the ratio of people collecting water as opposed to the water that's going into the ground is pretty low.
And I agree with you. Maybe if everybody was doing 2 barrels, maybe you might see a difference in the actual what's gathering up and going to the dams.
I think it's just that they want to keep you on the grid.
Well, yeah, if you're collecting your own water, they're not making money either. It's going to hurt somebody's pocketbook.
That's why they've got people. The industries have fought so hard against like solar,
right,
and wind turbines. It's because they're afraid of losing their business.
Now in Nevada, we are allowed to collect 2 barrels of 100 gallons each.
Okay,
but you have to have a permit for it.
Oh, you do?
A water right permit.
Do you really?
Yes. You have to pay for it, and it's not cheap. And you have to actually fill out all these agreements. And basically, at any time, they can tell you you're not allowed to gather it up because it's hurting what is being gathered for in the streams and rivers and stuff like that. There's a list of qualifications and legal mumbo jumbo that's very hard to even understand when you read it.
Yeah. We were talking about not eating meat as a way to prevent us from A, getting fluoride into our system, and B, possibly because of all the water usage that goes into raising cattle. But there are other things we can do, too. I mean, for instance, we can conserve water. There's a lot of ways to conserve water. We don't have to flush the toilet every single time. One of the things that really bothers me is golf courses. Now, I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off because I know a lot of people love to golf.
I like to golf.
But the fact is, I mean, here in Vegas, we're known for our golf courses. And yet here we're in the middle of a desert and you've got these massive areas of greenery that in this heat takes a lot of water to keep green.
I think what bothers me more than the golf courses is some of these large areas in the midways of the roads and sides of the roads and stuff that they have this green growing. I mean, most of it's rock and stuff, but I've seen a couple of big areas. Are you talking about
the lawns or?
No, actual in the medium of the streets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And things growing and stuff. It's like, why? It's not necessary. I understand.
Because I think it's because people want to avoid the idea that they're living in a desert.
Right. And I understand the idea, too, is also to put the green in, one, for oxygen, help oxidate and clean the air.
All right.
And one, keep the dust down because dirt is going to be dustier than... But then don't put dirt in the middle of the road. Put a park or something along the sides, but then you're taking up space that's worth money that they could be selling instead of in the middle of the road. And
well, look,
it's a big read.
I've mentioned this to you before. When we were kids, we would come out here and it was an arid desert, right? But since then, Vegas has boomed. With ever since they got rid of the mob and the corporations moved in here, the place has just boomed, and the result of that is that we've had so many people move here, and me included, and what they do is they bring their Midwestern attitudes about greenery with them, and so so now you've got, instead of having a rock garden outside, you've got a lawn. Instead of maybe just a palm tree, you've got tons of bushes and stuff out there.
I've seen that even in this neighborhood because I take a walk just about every morning, and I see some of these lawns, and they're plush, thick green lawns, and they have bushes all over them, and they've got the sprinklers on about that time when I'm going for the walk in the morning, and it's just like, wow, that's a lot of water.
Well, and we're under water regulation here. We can only use water on certain days here, and now, like, I have a rock yard. And but I do have some greenery here. No fault of my own. This was not my idea. This is my landlord's deal. I rent here. But anyway, he's got a trickle system, so I can use that evidently every day. But I have it set so it's just on for about maybe 5 minutes. But it's just enough water to just water the roots, basically. But I don't have water going all over a yard,
And it's not like you have plants all over the yard.
Right,
you have
right.
a selected group of plants.
Sure. And but you see these other places around here, and you walk by there, and you swear that you're in Maine with the amount of shrubbery and trees and everything that they have around there. And I personally think it's affected the weather here.
Well, when I'm walking and I see rivers going down the side of the gutters. Mm-hmm. I'm like, someone's overwatering.
Yep. So, I mean, we can't even wash our cars but on certain days here. I mean, in our driveway.
Right.
And I think that's a good idea, but it's not enforced enough. So I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, this is just I think in both of our opinions, it's just another way for the government to keep control of you through fluoride. And then, like I said, they don't want anybody rising up against them. They would rather we rise up against each other and have a civil war, So,
there's going to be a water war.
There will be.
And it's all greed, too.
And again, I think water wars are already starting to happen. You can see it happening already, like I said, in Yemen, and in Jordan, Syria.
If you have money to invest right now, invest in water.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the next commodity.
Since I'm giving you the tip, don't forget to include me in when you get rich.
But here's the thing: how far does greed go? We need water. We have to have water to live. So what good are your riches if you don't have any water?
We have to have medical health to live too, and we're not getting that.
Yeah, well, there you go. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Don't forget, again, we are going to have Anne-Marie Ballog, who is a paranormal medium, on with us, and she's going to be doing live readings on YouTube with us on Sunday, September 9th. But anyway, till then, keep thinking and question everything. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe and click that little bell so you can get a reminder every time we upload a new episode.